Hello, welcome to this playthrough of Elden Ring, where I will be in the co-pilot seat and Branwell will be driving. This is a lore playthrough, and in every video there will be spoilers, because this is intended as a vehicle for Branwyn to explain her theories on the lore of the setting. So if you'd rather develop your own theories without being influenced by other people's, or don't want to be surprised on some of the deep lore of the game, this is not a straight playthrough of just playing gameplay focused. This is a lore focused playthrough. So you might want to give this a pass if you want to avoid big spoilers. With that said, I hope you enjoy the video. And we're back.
Welcome back, everyone, to the lore playthrough of Elden Ring. I am here with Thryth,
Hello.
and our next thing. So, should I go search out more somber smithing stones while you chat, and then we can take on Stormvale, or should we just take on Stormvale now?
I think while it's in my head, I'll do the chat and then we'll do Stormvale.
Okay, I will. I will start running around and finding the stones I need.
Okay. So, when I brought up the Babylon 5 thing with the Mimbari and all that, that was the consequences of diverting spirits what brought that to mind.
Yeah.
When you talked about the Newman being long-lived, but rarely
seldom born.
seldom born, that does describe most elves. I mean, you get outliers like, say, Fëanor and his, 7 or 12 sons. I have to remember. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. And there are, deeper Tolkien scholars that would be huffing at me for that lack of knowledge. But
Yeah.
and I mean actual scholars. There are degree programs for Tolkien.
No, I know. I understood. I understand.
Yep. Anyway, oh dear, Caled.
Yeah.
Anyway, creating everything has some connection to the secret fire, which is creation, which is basically Eru, because Eru is like if creation. God is basically if creation had a will.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of drives Morgoth insane, because he wants to create things without using creation, and gets in a hissy fit because he can't.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is a fragment of the secret fire in every living being, from what I understand. I think some people would argue that animals maybe don't, but I would say they do, because they have language and other gifts,
Yes.
But to create anything, whether it's a work of art or a child, requires you to use some of that essence of yourself that is that secret fire at your core.
Yes.
So having children will make you weaker. Now for
Interesting.
most people, like elves and all that, it will the people that are in grace of God, that power will refill over time.
Yeah.
But it is still you will find that Galadriel only has the one daughter. Elrond has 3 kids, but a lot of the times you encounter that there aren't many children that the elves have. And that might be why, and it might be that because of their attachment, their being fate bonded to Arda, where they can't leave it. They have to stay on Earth from the begin up until it ends.
Yep.
That it might require more effort to create a child.
Right. So this is really interesting. What is Arda?
Arda is Earth.
Oh, okay.
It's the planet. Middle
Right.
Earth. Middle Earth is the continent. Sorry. Uh,
Mm.
and Arda is Earth.
Okay. So they get like they refresh that power that they use to create children from
God.
Earth.
It's from God.
Right.
It is
Okay.
basically the secret fire is God. Is Eru is God,
Right.
and God is inside every living being,
Mm-hmm.
and that force of creation is how like art is made, how genius happens, all that. And given time, you can refresh that with you can recover, re, rebuild,
Yep.
stuff like that. Unless you're like Sauron or Morgoth, because you're not in the grace of God. You're actively defying God, so
Mm.
you are basically walling yourself off from a part of yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's doubly interesting because there are multiple characters in FromSoft lore
Uh huh.
who create things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Aldia, the scholar of the first sin,
Mm-hmm.
creates golems, uses giants, does a whole bunch of that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pontiff Sullivan, very similar.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's just interesting that's that is I from what I'm hearing that is a shared theme.
Yeah. It is. I mean, the secret fire is infinite.
Yeah,
So the shard of divinity that is in every person is infinite,
yeah,
but our access to it is limited, which is
mm.
humans don't do magic the way you would think like the Maiar and the elves do it, and the elves don't really have as much connection to it as the Maiar do, unless
Mm.
they've been altered in some way, like Glorfindel,
Yeah,
because they don't have full capability to access and use the secret fire.
mm.
Uh, the prophecy is, and this is if I were ever to do the Scion thing, this is what I would say was going on. The prophecy is that in creating the next world, after this one goes boom, um, that that humans will be given access to the secret fire and will take part in the building of the next world.
Right, got you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. No, there's sorry, really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. I am seeing how a lot of this stuff is an inspiration for
Mm-hmm.
FromSoft games. Like, so the first flame,
Yep.
it, Gwyn and the gods use it as a power source.
Right.
Um, but it's not infinite. That's why they have to sacrifice things to it to keep it going.
Right.
There is also a possibility from the third game, because what happens in the third game is you take the Firekeeper to the first flame
Mm-hmm.
and she extinguishes it,
Right.
and at the same time the sun is snuffed out.
Interesting.
So there is like I can see a possibility where like the first flame is actually the sun, and Gwyn's abuses of it could possibly have caused a whole bunch of problems. Well, no, did very specifically cause a whole bunch of problems that we know about, but also probably a whole bunch of problems that the lore doesn't explicitly state. Which, that's interesting. That's an interesting
Yeah.
that's an interesting question. Yeah, so this is an... Oh, wait. Did I... Oh, dear. Okay.
You've gone off a field.
No, I've forgotten about somebody that I shouldn't have forgotten about. We will have to do that at some point. But yeah, we were talking about Elden Ring and Tolkien.
Yeah. I'm going to add one more little tidbit.
Yep.
Elves and humans, biologically speaking, by word of Tolkien, with the caveat that Tolkien is not a biologist and was talking out his ass.
Yep.
Biologically speaking, humans and elves are the same species.
Right.
The difference is elves are bound to Arda, humans are not. Which is why humans can leave. Which is also why humans age and die.
Right.
My theory is the aging part didn't used to be part of it. I think it used to be humans had the ability to choose when they would leave.
Yep.
And then Morgoth made them afraid of that. And my theory is that the soul wants to leave because it gets tired of staying in Middle-earth. But the mind doesn't, and the mind is afraid. And that conflict between the mind and the soul is what ages us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just managed to get my Somber 4.
Yeah. Cool. Now we just need the Somber 3. That is a big insect.
Yeah, these are much bigger. Sacred Ring of Light. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. The funny thing is, I can't say for certain there's not something like that going on in this game. It's probably not exactly like that.
Right. It would be weird if it was exactly like that, because that is one of those things that, I mean, I am not an actual scholar, I'm a hobbyist.
Yes.
I'm still surprised that there are people who make a living on this, but
hey, there are Proust scholars. I mean,
but it is one of those things that is debated, like, do Balrogs have wings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Another thing. These wormy guys.
Yeah.
I have possibly worked out what their deal is.
Oh.
Why they exist.
Interesting.
We'll get to the big sphere of heads later. But yeah, the wormy guys.
That's a sentence.
Yeah, no, new sentences that are like 3 years old. Okay, the wormy guys. So right about the time when they'd finished Dark Souls 3, and they would have been looking to the future and what they were going to do next with the franchise, etc. They a scientific paper came out that was talking about how energy, the paths things take to seek out energy sources.
Right.
And one of the experiments that was done for this paper was like putting various balls into a fluid and then putting electrical current through from the edge of the pool to the center, and then seeing how those balls would form, to try and, go for the path of least resistance.
Right. Right.
When you have a few balls, like 6 or 7, they form this wormy sort of structure towards the center, which wiggles around the edge of the pool, like pointing towards the center of the pool.
This sounds similar to one of the theories about how life began. Continue.
Yep. Yep. When you have more balls, they form tree-like structures.
Interesting.
So it's a bit of a reference to, the beginnings of life, trees, and how things seek out energy.
Right.
Or react to energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a. I watched a video on the theory, which I think is the most plausible idea that I've seen for it. But yeah, that's esoteric as heck.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to do one more thing since I stuck on the thing about elves and humans.
Yep.
And this is something that I've argued with other Tolkien fans before, because there is a thing that, according to Tolkien, there's only a set number of times that half elves have happened.
Yep.
And I'm like, nah, that's not true. There are cases with, Tolkien's stories are written on the premise that this is a historical document, and the only thing those care about when they're medieval historical documents are the people. Cynically as this is the language that would be used, of name. And
Okay.
there are elven peasants as well as human peasants.
Yes.
And also, we do know that the Prince of Dol Amroth has elven blood. He's descended from a wood elf. And there are wood elves in the area, if I remember correctly. I think actually there's a group of elves that is secretly there, but the leaders know they're there because they are there in case the Grey Havens get overtaken, so that they can have a different port to leave from. There's an abandoned elven city there, and they're just there to watch it in case they ever need to open it up again. But it elves and like the wood elves, the Avari, that kind of stuff. I cannot see like the Mirkwood elves and the Lake Town people regularly partying and not together, as we see in The Hobbit, having the regular partying, sharing trade and all that, and not having kids.
Yes. Yes, for certain.
Yeah, so I'm just getting that out of the way. That is a beef I have sometimes with other Tolkien fans.
Yeah. So, this girl's just appeared here.
Yeah.
She looks kind of familiar.
She does look kind of familiar.
That can't be Irina of Karium, right?
She's got
we saw her die.
On. Yeah.
She was dead.
Yeah.
Hello?
Is someone there? My name is Hayata.
Oh, no, it's not her. Okay.
I am in search of the distant light. If I might be so bold as to ask, Would you donate any Shaburi grapes in your possession to me? My eyesight has been weak since birth, you see. I can't tell which way I'm supposed to go next. But when I eat one of those grapes, I can feel a distant light in the back of my eyes. It will lead me to my true duty as a finger maiden.
Yeah, so we've got to find some Shiburi grapes for her.
This is a horrible,
Yeah.
horrible thing, right? I seem to remember hearing
Oh.
about this on a list.
Oh yeah, no. So it's quite likely that this is Irina's body being puppeted around by someone else.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. It's also possible that that is Irina using a different name, and she's like slow, like she's becoming I don't want to say corrupted, but yeah, basically corrupted by the fire of chaos.
Joy.
Yeah. But we're not going to go looking for Shiburi grapes for her just yet.
Oh, that would even make sense if your theory about him being infected by madness.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's that particular quest line is a thing, and we're going to be doing it because we're in the evil playthrough.
Yeah.
We will be doing the good playthrough in New Game Plus, but until then, yeah. So yeah, I'm, thing I can talk about here. This place is called Liurnia.
Right.
Now, you've noticed the four-armed puppets that wander around this area and Caelid, right?
Right.
The four-armed puppets are a reference to demon souls in which the queen of a country called Latria, her soul was placed in a four-armed puppet that was one of the bosses of demon souls.
And
I believe there is enough evidence to say that Liurnia here is possibly where Latria was.
Linguistic drift.
Yeah. Latria was a city of towers. I think that the ruins down here, I think they are collapsed towers.
Okay.
Or towers that have sunk beneath the earth, or those towers could have been taken apart and used to rebuild into other buildings. That is a
mariner.
That is a mariner. I'll just slip around him for the moment. But yeah, the putting a soul into a four-armed puppet's a interesting one.
Isn't that what happens with Blue Lady Witch?
Rani?
Rani, yeah.
Yes, that's Rani is also a four-armed puppet, and yes, that is another reason why I think this was Latria, because Rani, part of being part of the royal family of Liurnia, it would make sense that she would know the methods. She would know the method by which that happened to her ancestor.
Right. It's amazing we're getting all these Smithing Stones 4 and Smithing Stones 5, and you have yet to find a Smithing Stone 3.
Yeah, well, the thing is, those are also smithing stones and not somber smithing stones, and it's somber smithing stones that we want. Okay. That was the Briars of Sin sorcery. That's an interesting one in its own right. Let's.
It, you get ooh.
Yeah, fire spells are serious.
Yeah, that does seem to be a thing. I made an effort when I did the pyrokinesis weird move. I made an effort not to do just traditional fire sorcery type nonsense.
Yep.
I did instead, fire starter pyrokinesis, actual. More like the folklore, and I'm going to call it folklore even though it's modern nonsense. The folklore about psychic powers and things, that was what I based it on.
So that flame cleanse me spell that we just got,
Yep.
that is going to be super useful to us. Because alleviates poison and scarlet rot buildup and cures those ailments.
Oh, very cool. And
Yeah.
probably a good place to switch videos.
Awesome.
Cool.